To whom much is given, much is required. Part of that requirement is sharing. Culture is the heartbeat within our lives, and it's at the core of so many things. While we live in a time when we are starving for wisdom, I welcome you to your wisdom retreat at Culture Raises Us. Don Choo, aka the Wizard of Za, is today's guest. He's the executive producer of Front Porch Freestyles, which is this amazing live platform that's based in DC, highlighting the authentic music culture of GoGo. And before we have him kind of walk us through this journey, I want to start with our standard question. And when you hear culture, what does that mean to you?
Man, it's broad. So when you say culture, we think of nationality, we think of the foods, the places, the people, anything that directly influences decision making. So like if I'm Jamaican and I want to tap into my culture, but I'm in America, I go to a Caribbean club or a Caribbean restaurant. So that's an equivalent to the culture. When I think about us as a culture, like Black people, I think of like, what are our favorite things? Because we've had so many shortcomings along the history of Black people that I think it's the things that make us smile, or the things that we identify with as culture.
Love that. And you know, you've had quite what I call the journey in your music career, you know, crossing being, you know, part of multiple groups. You had label deals, you went independent, all the things, which I think has built this level of resiliency within you, and has brought you to where you are to date, for sure. Walk us through how this got you to Nucci, and why it was so important for you to kind of partner with him and create this platform that we're going to go deep in.
So the cool thing about with Nucci is he's actually my partner's son, which is
Oh,
Oi Booby. So he's Booby's son. Booby and I go back 20 years with the Oi Boys brand, the Oi Boys group. So this is like a legacy here in DC hip hop for our basically, you can't mention DC hip hop without mentioning our brand. So in 2018, unfortunately, Booby was incarcerated. So
mm,
his son was left here, of course, fatherless, but honestly, without the support that me staying there with him, who knows where his career would be. So I stayed there just like a father figure, just like an uncle. But then I said, look, our thing elevates to now a partnership. I'm no longer like the label executive guy. You and I are now sitting next to each other instead of in front of each other like that. So he's a smart kid, and the platform, I have to give 100% of credit to him for creating the platform, because honestly, it started with when we had him signed to Atlantic. That was around COVID time. So, you know, the labels, everybody was in freeze mode, no movies, no nothing.
right.
And he wanted to keep the attention of his direct audience. So by doing so, he just would do like freestyling on his front porch with his phone, like no production, no nothing, just him with a Bluetooth speaker, just dropping just verse after verse. That became Front Porch Freestyles, because it
Hmm.
wasn't an actual song that we're pushing. This is now just verses, just showing that this guy is an amazing lyricist. Fast forward to last year, Nucci says, well, what if I step up the production of it and we just start filming it like a real thing on the porch? So he brought in Tyler B. He brought in my man Terrence. So now we've got film guys collaborating to make it, you know, just the production of it to look better. So now it's no longer the phone, it's actually people doing what they do best. Then we brought in the band. So when we brought in the band, that was a group that's an actual band that goes out and plays at clubs, not a go-go band, but like they play cover tunes, they got their own music, and the band name is Thunder Boys. So Thunder Boys and Nucci had like this hand in glove chemistry that was very transparent on film. You saw it as like, damn, this is something special. And that's what Snoop ended up posting. When Snoop posted Nucci on the front porch with the Thunder Boys, he was like, Death Row wants you. And and it's like, okay, if Snoop is posting and seeing, this is not like, you know, hey, can you get Snoop to post it? This is
Right.
him, the
Organic.
algorithm fed it to him. Boom.
Organic.
This is like, okay, the aha moment. this is a platform for all genres of music. What if we opened it up to other artists? So Nucci says, listen, I want to open it up to my favorite go-go band, which is Backyard Band.
Mm.
So the very first guest was Backyard Band, and it was just like the impact of that made people think, number one, that it was a go-go platform, which is not solely a go-go platform,
Love.
but they just was like, this is a home for all of it to live.
Listen, I am a reflection of that because I think the first one that I got wind of was when Backyard was on, and they hit that Raphael Sadiq joint, bro. And it
Killed
took,
it.
listen, it took me all the way back to college, going to the actual Go-Go's. And then to your point, y'all started to add the likes of Grand Puba, right? Shout out to my man Alamo, Brand Nubians. You had Kenny Lattimore. You had Raheem Devon, to Benny the Butcher, I think, very recently.
Benny the Butcher
And,
came
and
and blessed it.
I mean, and which all for me shows how go-go can be infused into so many different genres and how much go-go has influenced so many genres. Was that one of the goals with this?
So once we saw like the response to it, it's like breeding the understanding of what go-go is. It's like you get to see it because you may have heard, like, what is go-go? I don't like it. So it sounds like pots and pans, but then you get to see it and then you digest it in the right way because they say the best way to see go-go is to see it live. But I'm gonna give you a history lesson on go-go in itself.
Come on, please.
When Chuck Brown started go-go, it was literally because they were playing cover songs. And between those breaks where you stop to go into another song, there may be like a stop of the music. He needed a bridge that led each song into each other so that there was no stopping, so that people stayed on the dance floor. Because when they would stop, people would think, oh, they're taking a break.
Right.
So it was to go, 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 go. So he came up with the pocket. The pocket that drives the one song to the next. That's the boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, put it in the pocket.
Put it in the pocket. That's it. Just so we can bring in the next little jingles of the next tune, and now the band knows, okay, we're about to play that song.
Right.
And the dance floor stays packed the whole time.
So that, listen, that history lesson, I didn't even know the birthing of the music. I just knew it was such a major, critical part of DC culture upon going to college and where we then met. And so for you to give the breakdown on how it came to be, it makes so much sense and why so many elements, like as you were telling the story, what was the first thing that I gravitated to? Put it in the pocket. Because that's all y'all used to say. Put it in the pocket. It was like a movement. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And so now to see what y'all are building with this proposition, it really takes me to then say, all right, given all of this and given all your experience within the music industry, I would love to hear, was there like a particular moment where you realized just how big and significant not only go-go, but just music culture and Black culture was to overall culture in general? Because even the story you just walked through, there's a significant piece of how that influenced music culture and the way in which we execute live performances.
I think that in everything you just said, it's a direct impact to how we sell products. It's a direct impact to how we market. Like these things now, it's like it's fun to go after you see a dope commercial. It's fun to go and buy that product. If it was like a Beyonce or a Jay-Z or anyone that's a musician, they sell that product better. This is why you have all of these collabs with artists on any level of product. Like with Nucci, I've thought about partnerships where artists don't typically go, like Home Depot, Sherwin-Williams. Those were where we were buying so much products when we did the overhaul on the house, when we're like doing all the remodeling and stuff.
That's
We
right.
went Sherwin-Williams and Home Depot 1,000 times, and I was like, bro, we just dropped the ball on some major content. If we would have filmed all of this through the process, we're actually teaching the DIY to home improvement through a rap artist. Not seen this yet. So it's like we've jumped on clothing, we've jumped on liquor, but as artists, we have not tapped into these other things that they're right there. They're there. You cannot
Hmm.
exist without Home Depot. Try to fix
Hmm.
something in your house today without Home Depot or Lowe's. Try to paint with quality paint without a Sherwin-Williams. So these partnerships
Facts.
are things that I've put in the air and we talked a lot about. And let's speak it into existence. Like when you see the orange is our color, okay? When you see us with
Hmm.
Home Depot, don't be surprised because honestly, it's a thing and it's going to be a thing.
But I think what you're also showing is the power of our influence, because
Absolutely.
what you're now doing is showing what we've done for years, and what you are looking to continue to do in bringing additional value to these brands to make them more than just a transactional brand, but an experiential brand, which
There you
I
go.
hope you take into those conversations the value that you bring to the table for them rather than the value that they're going to bring to you. Okay, because and these are the type of conversations and thoughts that we all need to have as we continue to move and shape our culture moving forward, because it's a very powerful component that we own in making them more than what they are.
100%. Because there's no way for them to physically do that without us. There's no way. You
Nothing.
have SOPs, but when you incorporate us in your SOPs, you can do it with and without. The pros and cons, whatever. There's always going to be a bottom line difference between involving the culture and not involving the culture. And every brand sees it. Even in cannabis, like these big companies that got millions and millions and millions of dollars. But if they don't have what's in this brain, they don't have it. Simple as that.
You talk about the cannabis piece, and I know you play a big role, and I want you to talk about some of your positionings there. And with the constant changing of the laws, though, around cannabis, how do you see that kind of affecting particular music genres and communities that have historically kind of been marginalized or stigmatized?
Well, with the laws becoming more favorable for opportunities for people of color within the space, I think that you're starting to see a lot of artist collabs for different strains and stuff like that, which I hope is more than just a money grab for these brands. I hope that they're giving the artists the educational piece to it as well as just
Mhm.
providing them with a product, putting it on the shelf. Like Nipsey Hussle's deal with Marathon. A lot of people didn't know that that particular strain was already on their shelves. It was called Yeska OG. So
Mm.
Yeska OG wasn't necessarily flying off the shelves. When Nipsey picked that particular strain and rebranded it as Marathon OG, now it's this big thing.
Right.
Now it's this I gotta have type of product, which was the same soup just reheated. Now it's more palatable because of who you aligned it with. So in the law changes, someone like myself who's been on both sides of it, like I've been in handcuffs for the same thing that now I pay taxes for. It's kind of a weird,
Mhm.
it's a weird space to be in. And
Yeah.
it's like, man, give me back my time. You know what I'm
Yeah. That's right. That's
saying?
right.
But it's like I'm not bitter. It's all been a learning process. And like you said earlier, it's been a journey. The peaks and valleys, I appreciate all of it.
Good
Honestly,
for you.
I can't look at the bad and say, it's terrible, but because it taught me.
Right. And so what you're doing on the music side with Nucci Music and the Front Porch Freestyles and the whole expansion of that, are you looking to leverage that to help with advocating for equity in this kind of cannabis space?
Well, we've kept it separate up until this point. We've kept it separate because each one has its own pecking order.
Right.
The cool thing about Front Porch is it's a entertainment platform. So we're talking about we've got artists that can come up there and do music, but then we've also got the comedy piece that we haven't introduced yet. I'm kind of letting the cat out of the bag.
Ooh, I like that.
The comedy piece. Because in DC, just so you understand, we grew up with this DIY just bred into us. So like
Hmm.
when we were kids, you didn't necessarily want the transformer. You might have wanted a set of congos or a set of drums or keyboards. So Asta got a keyboard, Choo got drum set, Kevin got congos. Now we're all at your house having band rehearsal, practice when we get out of school. We are creating a band.
Yes.
Okay. So once we're playing and practicing, you got the neighbors, you got people walking there. Oh, they're at this backyard. Let me come over there and see what they're doing. Now you got an audience. Now you're
Mm,
learning stage presence. Now you're learning how to keep people's attention. You see what I mean? So
mm.
as being artists coming from here, when you come through the go-go lane, which is how I got into like getting deals quick, performance is my everything. If you can't sell me with the performance, I know you could go in the studio, do it 100 times. You only
Mhm.
get one time in front of
Listen, that live performance is a different beast, and that's
you.
another
Yes.
reason why go-go music is so incredible because you got to experience it live.
You have to. And it's the energy. It's unreal. Like nobody's cool. Nobody's cool.
There
You
you
come
go.
out of your cool zone. It's like, man, listen, I'm sweating tonight. I don't even care. Girls sweat their hair out in them motherfucker because they like, look, today's my day. I'm feeling it.
I love it. So true. So true. And so with that, I'm sure as I go back to the front porch piece, because that has been a movement for sure. And I'm so glad to see you being a part of that. I'm sure you're already getting the mentioning in similar conversations of like a tiny desk, right? How do you
Absolutely.
how do you, which is that in itself is a huge, pat on the back. How do you differentiate yourself from these other platforms?
But a cool thing I think that Nucci brought to the table with Front Porch being at the crib and just being like this very just modest approach, it's nothing, no bells and whistles, no lights and freaking fireworks and pyros going off. It's just like, you're gonna give me some raw talent on my porch. And you'll
Mhm.
see it in its purest form. So if you don't have it, like if you don't have that it in a performance, then the front porch isn't really for you. And that's why the we get a lot of calls for people like, I got this new artist coming out. He signed to this one, he signed to that one. Yeah, we appreciate those calls, but with the cadence and the way that we're delivering it, it's almost like a painting. We can't just start putting people that you don't resonate with their catalog of music in
Right.
front of a Caddy Lattimore, your Raheem Devons, and all of these artists with hit records that people can identify with. Because other than that, you're using the platform as instead of gracing the platform. Does that make
Mm,
sense?
absolutely. The
We,
gracing
we want
is
people to
huge.
grace the platform. So Kenny Lattimore made mention of this being like something that artists don't have, a place to come and have a jam session, to not be stuck with the cookie cutter. I got to do the single that we're pushing. Like Kenny
Yes.
Lattimore performed Starship. He probably always wanted to do this. And now what Front Porch has allowed him to do is he probably loved that song his entire career, but never performed it. You could do
Mm,
a cover too. You're not stuck doing your singles with the front porch. As long as you've got a catalog of music, they'd appreciate anything coming from you. So like when
mm,
TJ came, if you saw TJ, he's like the biggest dancehall artist in Jamaica right now. While Afro Beats is here, he's
mhm.
keeping Jamaica in the game. Like with that drift record being one of the biggest things on TikTok and all of that, the guy was a professional. He came, did it with the live band. He met them guys 10 minutes before. They ran through it. And then he was coaching them. Hey, bring it to that part. Drop it right there. This. And the chemistry they locked in, the man did it in one take. What you saw was one take, and all this men was right there, like hyping them. I'm like, bro, this is what it is. This is what the front porch was designed to be. And like I said, I gotta salute Nucci 100,000 times because we've seen how artists are. We're gonna put you in front of a Bentley. We're gonna put you in front of a private jet. We're gonna take content of you in the Louis store, buying jewelry and all of that. There's a small percentage of people that can relate to that. There's a
That's
small
right.
percentage of people that can even experience that.
0.001.
Everyone has a porch.
Mm,
Everyone has an aunt's house or a grandfather's house or whatever that you could just go kick it. The cookout is there, the family reunion is there. The front porch is that. It's family. That's a 20-year legacy house where it's been the studio. We've shot videos there. Like way before it was a front porch. This has been like Nucci refers to it like John Wick. The hotel is like it's just a sacred place.
yeah, no, you know what? And as you mentioned, you said something so powerful within this when you talked about the type of artists coming on and gracing it as opposed to using it, right? And that principle alone, bro, is so powerful for us as people.
Mhm.
Operate from a place of grace and not from a place of trying to use, right?
Absolutely.
And the power that you just exuded with that was monumental. That goes way beyond. And it also shows how music has this undeniable power to kind of bring people together. Obviously, look how you talk about the synergy of the Jamaican artist that came on, and then he's telling your band how to do it, and because it's that music, there's a power in that music and shared experiences. How do you believe, what you're creating is fostering this sense of community and connecting with their audiences, given this?
We've seen at this point where some of the videos get almost 1 million views in 2-3 days. We've seen hundreds of comments where people say, I want to pull up to that front porch and just sit a lawn chair and just watch. I just want to find that porch, because it's not an audience thing. It's a private set. It's a recording. It's equivalent to an outdoor recording session.
Yes.
So everything is mic'd in. Everything is Pro Tool engineered. We do everything in post as you would if someone went into Sony Studio or SIR and recorded it in New York. So when an artist comes and perform, although the audience wants to be there, the reason you can't be there is because of the artist's exclusivity, privacy, as it would be with a recording session. It's no like invite to a certain amount of people.
Right,
It's very
right.
private. It's very private. So like when you mentioned about the Tiny Desk, we truly appreciate that for a platform like Tiny Desk to be mentioned in the same sentence with us, because it shows we're on the right track. Our thing just being a little bit more culture can identify with something being a band on the porch or a band at the crib, because we've seen that in life. We've seen the house party where somebody had a band or somebody had a DJ. So when Puba and Jamal, they were there and they was like, bro, do you hear that? Because the bass line, like they're just learning it. So the bass line, so then Puba walks out there, it's like, yo,
This
he
feels
called
right.
he called Large Professor. Must have produced a record or something. Not Large, another producer. I might be saying it wrong, but he called the producer on FaceTime. And the producer made this record 30 years ago.
Right.
And he FaceTimes the dude playing the bass, and then like mind blown, like, yo, 30 years later, I don't know this guy. This dude is playing my record on the bass live. And it just was like a moment in hip hop happened when Brand New being performed. We got his son up there, Puba's son. It rained. It never rained on us before. We're like in the mix of it, covering stuff up. Nobody stopped. Nobody missed the beat. I said, shit, they ain't stopping. We ain't stopping. We gonna keep going. Cover it up and kept going. Like the show must go on. And it's just those type of things. I don't think, and not taking nothing away from Tiny Desk, I don't think that you can identify with it at a Tiny Desk. The Tiny Desk is what it is. Ours is very much how it would be. Like it's very improv. It's very like, you know what I mean? Even though it's a production, who knew it was gonna rain?
That's right.
Now we got Lord Jamal like, it's gonna rain, y'all. Like, you couldn't hit the rain button.
No, but listen, how reflective again is that of the culture of DC and GoGo? I remember going to GoGo's, and how often would a fight break out? How often would a fight break out, and then they go right back in, right back to the set? So this is a discipline that y'all have built from day one.
Yes. The fights. Then we would have like Junkyard Band. I know you heard of Junkyard Band.
Yes.
First go-go band ever signed to Def Jam. Junkyard lead rapper's name is Bugs. He had a rule: one fight, good night. So he would get on stage. He said, all right, you know what it is. One fight, good night. So once, they might be the main attraction. You don't want to mess this ticket up.
That's right.
You paid to see these guys. You saw the opening group. Now you want to see these guys. No fighting. But it's just like I say, it's the energy. It's the neighborhood. So like here, we don't have gangs. Okay.
Right.
There's no Bloods, no Crips, which is a blessing. But unfortunately, we do have neighborhoods that if you're from that block or if you're from that neighborhood, they click up, they go to the go-go. So you got this street might be from Southeast, this street might be from Uptown. When the band starts to say your name, that's the attention.
That's right.
Now you might got 70 guys with this block and they jump into the roof. But then there's 150 guys with that block, and they like, yeah, but we will blow the roof off. You see what I mean? So that energy right there is what we like. We're very accustomed to it. And if it is a fight, you get to the side, let it be what it is.
That's right.
Oh, that ain't us. Hold up, that's us.
Right, right. No, it's crazy. And so I just think back to those moments. They're so iconic, but again, those principles are still very the same. Even when you just talked about the ability to continue to push through with the weather, right? Like I didn't even know that when as a viewer, no clue that it was raining, no clue that something could have impeded the magic that was taking place there, which is beautiful that those principles are being applied still to date in the evolution of what comes from what I call DC culture, which is dear to me for sure. Because I remember in college, I was always enamored like by DC culture. I mean, the music, the fashion. Sometimes I'd even be questioned if I was from DC, right?
Yeah. Because you was my homie. Like New York or
1000%.
whatever. You've been my homie since we met.
1000%. And it was always the bold representation of oneself that I felt came through in the brands that y'all used to wear. Hugo Boss, Versace, Moschino, Jonah David, all these different things, to the heavy percussion feel like you talk about in go-go music. Why do you feel though that go-go and DC culture have such a powerful influence on different genres and cultures?
I think it goes in with the percussion piece because it goes to a tribal. It goes to a tribal point. We're hearing these percussions and these rhythms and these vibrations. It almost goes tribal to either Indian, Native American, or Africa. It's in our DNA. So I always say, Black people are the father of all races. So even though somebody may be white, there's some Black in there somewhere in your DNA that those rhythms, you can identify with those tribal feelings as well. So if we look at the past 20 years as to who's been supporting go-go, and that's funny, I got this book right here. I'm going to have to do a shameless plug for Roger
No, please.
Gaskell.
This
is a very well put together book by Roger Gaskell, and he's a white guy.
What's the name of the book? Just for anybody
it's called Pump Me Up, and it's all about DC subculture of the 80s.
Love that.
Dope pictures all throughout this book, and it just shows like he cared that much to do the research, to find all of these stories, and this is loaded with our stuff. This is not necessarily white culture.
Right.
And to care that enough about it, it's not a racial divide. There's just maybe a racial lack of understanding each other.
Yeah.
Bad Brains. I'm gonna give you, away from go-go, Bad Brains, hardcore punk rock music, spearheaded from an all-Black group from DC called Bad Brains. So you got hip hop came out at the same time, go-go and hardcore punk. These were three genres of music that were DIY, right?
Yep.
But all came out in the 70s, and a lot of it happened. New York had hip hop, we had go-go and hardcore punk right here in DC, and they would do shows together.
Wow.
We would have EU, Trouble Funk, Bad Brains, Minor Threat, all on one show, and you would see white, Black, skinheads, guys from the hood, all in one venue. We're gonna watch the rock and we're gonna watch the go-go. So they grew a love for both. And now there's these so many separate things that just keep us separated. When you go to the core, the roots, that's why I only watch documentaries, bro. Like I want the information. Like I want to read a book, but maybe I don't have time, so I watch documentaries. When I go home to wind down, I'm cutting on a documentary. When I wake up, I cut on a documentary.
But you're also, and when you go through the day, you're a walking documentary. Because I mean, I even look at, your past, you've been an artist, right? We haven't even talked about your artist days within all this. And I would love to get from you, was there a particular achievement or milestone that you're most proud of that had this, I don't want to say impactful contribution to culture, but an impactful contribution to culture, especially being that you have such an affinity for documentaries? It's always great to look back and see the things that you had an impact on, right? Was there a moment, whether it was your artist days or even now, that you were like your baby, like this moment, this was it for me?
So for me, it was in 2001. We did an artist showcase in New York at SIR Studios. This particular showcase was literally for R&B groups trying to get signed to RCA, Arista, a couple other labels. There's all these A&Rs were there. And at the time, I was partnered with Troy Taylor and Charles Farrar of Character Music.
Mhm.
So they talk to the guys and say, look, let this rap group, we got a rap group from DC we're working with, let them just perform on it last. Just do everything you plan to do. Just let them close the show out with hip hop. It'd be cool to close it with a rap thing. After you've done all these R&B acts, it'd be cool to close it with a rap thing. So we went in there and this was like what we do. It's like, okay, cool. We're going to tear the roof off of this place. The mics are flawless. At SIR Studios, everything is about quality sound.
Right.
So the mics are flawless. We gave the best show of the day to the point where the A&Rs from RCA was like, hey, can you come back to the office? We want to talk to you, da, 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 da. And we had been, it's like with us, we're not excited about, the A&Rs are saying this, they're saying that, because it's really about the black and white when you've invested so much money and time into yourself. It's
Right.
really about the black and white when things will move you. So it's like, okay, cool, that's dope what you're saying, yeah, but we got finished product, album done, we produced everything ourselves. We are a label more than an act. So we're
Mhm.
operating as a company. So if your interest is for an act, sign our company and we'll sign ourselves.
Hmm.
That's what you guys want to do. So Bob Jameson was the president of RCA at the time. So Bob Jameson, we would drive back to DC. Bob Jameson has the people call us and say, can you get him to come back up here? I want to meet with him because everybody in RC is, oh, this group from DC, you got to see him. Man, they were crazy. The live performance, you just had to see it. So he's like, they don't get excited like this. Get
Right.
these guys back up here. But us, New York hotels, 400 or 500 a night. Then you say, oh, yes, we're sold out tonight. You got to move. It's
Right.
like parking. You got to move the car. It's $75. It's like, we said, okay, we'll come back in like 2 weeks. Let us recoup from the 2 weeks we've been up there feeding the machine, right?
Right.
So the dude's like, nah, Bob saying, nah, I'm coming to them. I'll come to DC. So in all of it, I did not know that the phone call was made to my manager at the time, Melvin Middleton. They called Melvin, was like, okay, Bob is on his way. He'll be there in the morning. So they just called us over to Melvin's. Like, hey, pull up, everybody come over to the crib. We're going to rap or whatever. Nobody said Bob's coming. We're over Melvin's house like 11 in the morning, which was unheard of. So somebody knocks at the door. And Pookie sees a black dude in a suit and a white dude in a suit, slams the door. He thought it was the police, yeah? So we got weed on the table. We like, oh. So then man was like, nah, open the door. That's the people, man. Open the door, right? So when he opens the door, Bob like, hey, look, I'm not the police. Y'all can go back to what y'all was doing.
Right.
And so we let him in. And that was like the biggest icebreaker to have the president of RCA Records come to literally the hood in a limo. We in the hood now. So Bob said, look, man, I hear you guys got some good music. I wanted to meet you face to face and talk about some possibilities. So this has gone away. Artists don't do this no more. We cut on a CD, bro. We performed the whole 16 songs, full energy, like we was on stage at Coachella.
Love it.
Full energy, performed the whole CD in this man's face. Like, how, like back then to get a deal, you had to bring it.
That's right.
The man was blown away. He said, look, I feel like I should have brought my resume. I got Christina Aguilera, I got Dave Matthews Band, I got Tyrese. I want to bring y'all on board with a handshake. We did the handshake in Melvin's house. And within 2 weeks, Lauren Davis, which is Clive Davis's daughter, was our attorney. Within 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, we had $500K.
Wow.
We did in that living room. And that moment said, if you bring it out of your chest, out of your heart, out of your everything you got, if that's what you want to do and you give it all of it, things can happen. So something that came out of me to be able to produce, I didn't have to break the law, I didn't have to rob anybody, I had to do nothing unethical. To take my raw talent and receive compensation for it, I knew that, okay, This is a thing.
Mm.
So from that point on, it's been about branding. It's been about the brand, the marketing, the packaging, the presentation, and the quality. That's it.
Yeah, and so many gems in that story, and I could see why it was a milestone for you and what it signified, right? It signified a crossroads, a significant crossroads, and another road that y'all could now take of benefiting and profiting from the gifts that you've been given, rather than the tools to just make some money.
Absolutely.
And I transition that into looking at Black culture as we know it is often, very much borrowed, appropriated, and used to kind of inspire other cultures, similar to what we were talking about earlier, with how you want to position, the Home Depots and the Sherwin of the and in the paint space of the world.
Mhm.
Um, Having your presence in the cannabis space and its rapid growth, what's your thoughts on the importance of Black ownership and equity in this space?
That's perfect that you say that. So it's mandatory that we have ownership in it. Not only because we predominantly colored people went to jail for it. Through the timeline of events, we've been the ones that have gone to jail for it. The way that it is now, if you think about it, if we've been the ones that have gone to jail for it, then we're also the experts.
Mm.
And no industry can exist without an expert. The name of my store is Maven. Maven stands for a connoisseur or expert in
Mhm.
any field. So you could be a maven of wines, you could be a maven of fashion. So I'm an expert in this space. When it comes down to cannabis, I know the science, I know the user thing in terms of customer retention. Like how do you keep a customer? Everything is not the same. Like when we were going to school back then, everything was kind of like, is it good, is it bad?
Right.
So now there's all of these different tiers, all of these different types of products. Like snow caps is my like top selling product, which now is being copied around the country, which says a
Mhm.
lot.
That's right.
If we're being copied, then we're on the right track. I'm just a
That's right.
small company from DC, but what I'm doing is so impactful that everyone wants to create what they see,
Their version. Their version.
which is their version. Okay, everyone, I didn't recreate the wheel. I didn't say, okay, I want all exclusivity. If I made something popular and I see it becoming popular, and they're sending me all of these copycats, like, oh, you see these? Did you see that they call it this snowcat? So what? So what? Make a decision. When you go to the store, you got Clorox, you got bleach, you got the Safeway brand, you got all of these different ones.
Right.
It's a reason you pick up Clorox.
Yep.
It's just a reason you pick up Clorox for 20, 30, 40 years. And for years to come, people will always buy Clorox because it's branded. It's a certain way that we've always seen it. Your eyes have accepted that. You almost thought that that was bleach.
That's
You
right.
understand what I'm saying? So where instead of saying, I need some bleach, I need some Clorox.
Clorox. That's right. The
You
power of
understand?
branding.
So
Power of
that's
branding.
it. Our whole focus with any company that I involve myself in, my whole focus should be the end user. We'll work on the end user by creating dynamite products, quality driven, the packaging, the end user being the one that once this goes to your house, I can't talk anymore. I can't sell it to you no more. It
That's
has
right.
to now talk. It
That's
has
right.
to now communicate. It has to represent the brand well. It has to satisfy the customer to the point where they're ready to do this again and again. And they'll tell their friends, oh my God, you got to go there. This is amazing. Like a good restaurant. If your
Mhm.
experience was amazing, you go straight to social media, you show the pictures, you show the food, you show the waiter. If it was terrible, you go to bad reviews. You start
That's right.
plugging away like this place was horrible. You go to TikTok.
That's
Don't go
right.
here.
Right.
so,
That's right.
so knowing that now we walk on eggs when it comes down to reviews and Google reviews and all of that being very important, I think that as Black people, don't worry about the money. When we get ownership in cannabis, worry about the end user. Worry
Mm.
about being quality driven and making people smile, making people happy. Then you're going to get the money in the process.
Great share. Great share. So your life documentary is going to happen, right? So we're foreshadowing that, and the opening scene to your life documentary is about to begin. What song is playing and why?
That's a very good question. And I think that I just used this song the other day,
Mhm.
Jay-Z, Nickels and Dimes.
Okay.
That song with that nickels and dimes just subliminal in the back. For me, Charles used to say something to me about don't step over a dollar to pick up a dime. And what he meant by that is you've got all of these opportunities in front of you, all of these different things that pull away and pull at your attention. There's some dollars on the other side right here. If you put your attention there, a lot of times these things in front of us are sidetracked, which is the quick money. You
Hmm.
can see past this year, next year. If you could say, no, you'll get this in 3 years. A lot of people can't think like that. You'll get this in 5 years. Yeah, definitely you can get it in 5 years. A lot of people think 5 years is like, oh man, I mean dead in 5 years kind of thing. And now that I've been an entrepreneur the entire time since I left, even in Eastern Shore when we had the store there,
Yeah.
I've been an entrepreneur, so I've always had to create my own opportunity. I've had to pivot. I've had to be a cheerleader, a coach, a star quarterback,
Yep.
receiver, all defensive line, everything all in one. So if you're able to pivot, entrepreneurship is not for everybody. If you're
Hmm.
able to pivot and if you have thick skin, I think that you can create a legacy that will go on for years and years and years. So back to what you said though, nickels and dimes. I went from nickels and dimes to where we are now. So that's been my evolution, starting
So
from
dope.
literally in the
We always end the conversation with, what are the three seeds that you'd want to leave with the stewards of culture moving forward to ensure that we are equipping them with the tools to really shape and mold our culture, this culture, and all cultures in a respectful, nurturing way for collective betterment. What would those three things be?
number one, the most important part would be to have patience because without patience, you grow irritated, you don't make good decisions. With patience and poise, I think we make better decisions. So
Mm,
having patience is very important. I think also realistic expectations
mm,
as people, having realistic expectations. Some of us have entitlement issues, and I don't want to like throw shots at the younger generation, but it's something being bred into the younger generation where I'm starting to see a lot of entitlement that we
mhm.
didn't as we were coming up because I think we didn't have the voice or the freedom that they had. And in culture, I think you definitely have to be mindful of stuff like that.
Mhm.
And the third thing I think would be resilient. Like
Mm,
don't die, don't die at all.
mm.
Nothing will kill you. God put you here with a purpose. So I think if you're just one of those people that just give up easy or something frustrates you, put on your boxing gloves and fight.
That's right.
Things will be difficult. Peaks and valleys are there for a reason. Setbacks are good for comebacks. Willie
That's right.
Jolly, we stole that. The setback is the setup for the comeback.
That's right. We're not meant to break. We just meant to bend anyway.
That's it. That's it. And we'll bounce back.
Man, listen, I thank you for those. I thank you for this time. I'm so happy and proud to see you do what you continue to do. I'm here to support. And I thank you. Thank you for pushing, bro.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you, man. This has been a blessing. And to see us in this space, like we ran into each other across the years. You were working, I was working, and I just used to be like, okay, so the Eastern Shore squad,
We
some of
here.
us are working, man.
We're here. We're here.
We are here, man. We we ain't wasting time. The Eastern Shore squad is here.
That's right. That's right. So thank you for being one of those representatives, brother.
I salute you, brother. This platform, thank you, man.
Thank you, bro. We truly appreciate your support because it helps us fulfill our mission of promoting cultural awareness and personal development. Please click the subscribe button below to help ensure and solidify our mission.